Will President Biden use the National Guard against Texas? It's January 25th, 2024, and these are your headlines. As the standoff continues over razor wire fencing placed on Texas's southern border, Democrats are calling on President Joe Biden to take control of the National Guard. Currently, as part of Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star initiative, Texas's National Guard and the Department of Public Safety have placed concertina wire and other barriers along the Rio Grande in an effort to deter illegal crossings. After the Biden administration ordered Border Patrol personnel to cut down the barriers to allow illegal aliens to pass through last year, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals placed an injunction preventing them from doing so. This week, however, the U.S. Supreme Court lifted that injunction, allowing the destruction of the barriers to resume. Thus far, however, Texas has held the line, preventing federal agents from entering Shelby Park, a hotspot of crossings in Eagle Pass that we reported from earlier this week, and they've placed more wire in recent days. Well, now some Texas Democrats are calling on President Biden to federalize the National Guard to stop them. Democrat Representative Joaquin Castro said that Governor Greg Abbott is using the National Guard to create chaos at the border. He said if Abbott is defying the Supreme Court ruling, President Biden needs to establish sole federal control of the Texas National Guard now. His comments were echoed by former congressman / failed senatorial, presidential, gubernatorial, whatever the heck he runs for next, candidate Beto O'Rourke. You know him, you love him, who compared the situation to the 1957 integration at Little Rock Central High School. He said Abbott is using the Texas Guard to defy a Supreme Court ruling. When the Arkansas governor did this in 1957, President Eisenhower federalized the Arkansas Guard to ensure compliance with the law. Biden must follow this example of bold, decisive leadership to end this crisis before it gets worse. Never mind the fact that what he's talking about, defying a Supreme Court ruling, Texas has not defied any Supreme Court ruling or action or otherwise. Instead, they've just continued to put up more wire. The Supreme Court simply said that the federal government could cut in and cut it down. And as I said, thus far, they have prevented them from doing so. Governor Abbott, meanwhile, has said he will use the state's constitutional power to push back against the invasion at the border. Attorney General Ken Paxton says he stands shoulder to shoulder with Abbott. In a statement this morning, he said, "As your Attorney General, I stand ready to bring any legal means necessary to defend Texas. We will push back against this out-of-control federal government to defend our state sovereignty." Fort Worth, which is ostensibly led by Republican Mayor Matty Parker, has earned a perfect score from the pro-LGBTQAI plus human rights campaign's Municipality Equality Index. And what more? In a press release, the city actually boasted about being given the perfect rating from the organization for the 8th consecutive year. Now, the Municipality Equality Index is administered by the Human Rights Campaign, which is a far-left organization. It's lobbied against efforts to protect children from gender mutilation, for example. And their index examines how inclusive municipal laws, policies, and services are of LGBTQ plus people who live and work there. Cities are given ratings based on non-discrimination laws. The municipality is an employer for the LGBT community, municipal services, law enforcement, and leadership on LGBT equality, which includes the municipality's leadership policy efforts for LGBT residents. Well, Fort Worth currently has a Department of Diversity and Inclusion, which was created in 2019 after a 2018 report by the city's Task Force on Race and Culture. The department aims to eliminate racial, ethnic, and gender disparities in criminal justice, economic development, education, governance, health, housing, and transportation. Its Civil Rights Enforcement Assistant Director also serves as the city's liaison to the LGBT community. Additionally, the Fort Worth Police Department has its own LGBT liaison. This isn't new from Fort Worth. Back in May of last year, Mayor Parker also appeared to endorse LGBT and radical gender ideologies through the Mayor's Summer Reading Challenge, which essentially, if a child were to complete the challenge to read books with LGBT themes, they would receive a badge entitled the Pride Badge. Now, the mayor ultimately removed the badge from the challenge after multiple residents complained. Of the cities rated, 4 other cities in Texas received a perfect score. It's not just Fort Worth. We've got Arlington, Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio.
Are you worried about your kid's future? You should be. I'm Charles Blaine with Texas Tomorrow. This is a show where we're going to talk about the issues and the people that are pushing the policies that concern your family your home, and your kids. Catch Texas Tomorrow every Thursday.
Last up in election news, an interesting observation made by our own Michael Quinn Sullivan that as of right now, only one of the top tier statewide elected officials in Texas has not endorsed in the presidential race. Who is it? It's Comptroller Glenn Hegar. Now, this makes him the odd man out among the statewide elected officials that have endorsed Trump. That includes John Cornyn. We talked about that yesterday. Last week, you had Senator Ted Cruz following the Iowa caucus, Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Attorney General Ken Paxton, Governor Greg Abbott, Land Commissioner Don Buckingham. They have all previously endorsed Trump's 2024 bid. Now, despite having accepted Trump's endorsement in his own 2018 and 2022 re-election bids, Hegar appears to not have made an endorsement in the race so far. He didn't respond to our inquiries about the presidential race. The news section on his campaign website's not been updated in years, and his account on X or Twitter makes no mention of the presidential campaign at all. Now in his third term as comptroller, Glenn Hegar is sitting on a campaign war chest of more than $9 million. That's why this is important. Like the other statewide officials, Hegar will next be on the ballot in 2026. And having previously served in the Texas House and then the Texas Senate before becoming comptroller, some say he may be positioning himself for a potential run for another high office, including lieutenant governor or governor, the next time one of those offices is open. You can check out more of today's news at TexasScorecard.com.